Hi, I'm Cindy Dupree, and welcome to Weekday. And today I have some very special guests with me. I will be talking with Larry Cole and Rhonda Red Cherries. They are involved with the American Indian Center, and it's nice to have you both here today.
Thank you.
Now, Rhonda, you have 4 different tribes that you have inherited from. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, I'm a member of the Cheyenne, Arapaho, Potawatomi, and Navajo tribes.
My goodness. Now, this is all from grandmothers and grandfathers, or?
Yes, ma'am.
My goodness. That's pretty exciting. Now, Larry, how did you get involved in all this?
Well, about a dozen years ago, I married Rhonda's mom, and being from Louisiana, I knew very little about American Indians, but I learned quick, and I had no choice.
Oh, no. Well, now, you not only have Rhonda, but you have another daughter.
Nina, she's 13 months older. She's today working at the Richardson YWCA.
I see.
Couldn't be with us, she maybe sometime in the future.
Yeah. Now, what services does the American Indian Center offer to Indians?
Okay, presently we have an alcoholic rehabilitation house in Grand Prairie, and we also have 3 nights a week we're a member of a bingo association, which gives us funds to support other events, such as softball tournaments, bowling tournaments, Little League teams, American Indian Center's annual powwow, and just whatever comes up is presented to us at our board directors meetings.
Is there a large number of American Indians in the Dallas area?
I'd say approximately 20,000 American Indians.
And is this one of the many centers, or is this one of the few centers that are available?
Probably few, really. There's a Dallas Intertribal Center on Jefferson. They're primarily involved with medical and dental, and also employment. And then, like I just mentioned, ours. And there's a few organizations around that are strictly social, such as the Dallas-Fort Worth Intertribal Association, which is a powwow association, mostly interested in carrying on the dancing traditions of the American Indians.
Mm-hmm. Now, I think it's wonderful that a young person like Rhonda would be interested in her culture and in her heritage. And you have become very involved with that. You were a princess in, was it 1981?
Yes, ma'am. I ran for Miss Indian Dallas in 1981. Then I competed in a state competition, and I won that year the title of Miss Indian Texas. And I traveled throughout the state and Oklahoma representing the Indians of Texas.
Oh, that's wonderful. Now, what kind of criteria is that based on? Is it based on how much you know about your heritage, or is it kind of like some of the other contests on beauty and poise, or what criteria do they choose?
We're judged on our poise and personality, but most of the emphasis is placed on tribal knowledge and your tribal heritage. And we also had to perform a traditional and contemporary type talent, but most of it was stressed on tradition.
Now, who teaches? Like, I know that in a little bit we're going to see some dances. Who teaches these dances? Is that something that the center helps with, or do you rely on?
Occasionally we'll have someone who'll come through and we'll be able to give classes, but for the most part this is family, and relatives, and you grow up with it, and the children go because their parents go, and then they bring their children later.
So tradition and knowledge of the Indian culture is important. And it just impresses me so much to see a young person involved in it too. Well, let's take a look at that footage right now. I know that it's very colorful. We saw a little bit of it at first. Can we roll that? goodness. Oh, wow. I'm sure they have to go through a lot of training to be able to do that. Now, what we just saw, tell me about that.
Okay, that was the men's senior division Southern Fancy Feather War Dance competition.
Oh my goodness. With them all out there, they're all competing on an individual level?
Right, and I think top prize money that year was somewhere around $1,000 first place, and 7 and then 5, you know.
What are some of the other categories that they compete in?
Let's see, there'd start with tiny tots and works all the way up to the senior, and then there's both boys and girls, and there's both northern and southern, and there's both straight and fancy, and also northern traditional. So there's many categories. It's almost like, I guess you could compare it to Europe, where there's so many different countries and nationalities. Same thing of the American Indians. There's many tribes, and a lot of the different types of songs and dances come from the different tribes, and they try to put it together into a national type contest.
Now, is this something that is held annually?
What you just saw was held at Traders Village. It's held each year around Labor Day weekend. This year it's September 7th, 8th, and 9th out at Traders Village, and I think it's somewhere around the 34th, 35th annual.
Oh my goodness, so coming up in the first part of September, they will be doing this at Traders Village. Now, is this open to spectators?
Open to the public. Public's encouraged. That'll be both, let's see, Friday night, Saturday during the afternoon, Saturday night, and then Sunday afternoon is what you just saw, the finals for all the men's senior division.
Now, Rhonda, will you be competing, or will you be involved with this coming up in September? I know that you mentioned that there was another competition that you were going to be entering.
Hopefully, my sister and I plan on competing in a pageant for American Indian women for the United Congress of American Indians.
Oh.
And hopefully we'll be competing this summer with a bunch of other Indian women throughout the country.
That's exciting. Is that on a national or state level? Or
it is on a national level. It's one of the oldest American Indian organizations.
Oh, that sounds exciting. Now, you are wearing a traditional regalia today. Did I say it right?
Yes.
Can you show us a little bit?
Yes. Hey, I'm wearing a traditional Cheyenne buckskin, but actually my buckskin is made from elk. That is why the color is very bright. It's white. The beadwork across the front and the back is typical of Cheyenne beadwork, and it also goes across the shoulders. I have matching hair ties to go with it, and hair wraps, which are made from mink. And I'm wearing a typical Northern Plains breastplate, and you can distinguish the different tribes of women by the type of breastplates they wear.
And this particular one is Cheyenne?
It's a Northern type style breastplate.
Oh, those are beautiful. Now, did you do all this beadwork, or who do we give credit for that?
My boyfriend, he beads, and he beaded my buckskin. He does most of my beadwork for me.
That's beautiful. Now, I know this is probably a question that everyone asks, but why one feather? Is there a symbolic meaning for one feather?
Well, typically most women wear a feather in their hair to represent that they are single, a single feather.
I see. She's single, but she has a boyfriend that does her beadwork, so forget it, guys. We're going to have to take a break at this point, but stay with us.
When you turn to the Texan...
And we were just discussing Rhonda's garment and her beadwork. Now, is it something that a lot of young people, that you're finding a lot of young people that our Indians are interested in their culture and in following and learning the old traditions? Do you find that?
I find it's very important. A lot of Indian youth find it important to carry on our traditions because it's important so that when our families, after we've grown and have our families, we'll be able to pass on these traditions. And one way of doing this is to participate in the Indian community, and that is why my sister and I have co-founded the Young American Indian Society of Texas, which is a voice for Indian youth in which they can participate in carrying on traditional culture and heritage.
That's wonderful. What do you hope to accomplish with this organization, or has it been successful so far for you?
Well, we've just started it this year, and we hope to encourage youth leadership skills and carrying on traditions and carrying on things of value for the pride of our Indian people.
That's great. That's great. Now, Larry, you also mentioned that the American Indian Center has an event coming up.
Right, September 28th this year at Kidd Springs and Recreation Center in Oak Cliff. There's going to be the American Indian Center's annual powwow where the primary reason we have it is to elect 4 different divisions of young ladies as American Indian princesses and give each one of them a chance to have a title and go and carry it out through the year to different powwows and different events and be proud of what they've won. We've got a Tiny Tot, a Little Miss, a Junior Miss, and a Miss American Indian Center, and trophies and prize money, and will be awarded to each first and second, third places.
Oh, that'll be exciting. And will this be judged on the same type of criteria?
Right. Naturally, the little ones, no interviews, but the top 2 levels.
Oh, come on.
Top 2 levels will be interviewed by Miss Indian World, Miss Indian Sesquicentennial of Dallas, and both my younger daughters, Nina and Rhonda Red Cherries, both former Miss Indian Texases.
Uh-huh. Now, we talked just a tad about the Sesquicentennial, if I can say that. What kind of involvement will the American Indian Center have in that, or will you be involved with that?
We were involved already. We've had a contribution last year at the State Fair where we had 3 days of Indian dances and whatnot concerning the Sesquicentennial Committee. This year, the Texas American Indian Sesquicentennial Association is sponsoring a 3-day workshop September 26th and 27th and 28th at Central Expressway Inn. And we have leaders of American Indians you wouldn't believe, tribal chairmen of the Pueblo and Apache and Choctaw, and they'll be giving talks during the days. And Thursday night there's a pageant, I guess you'd call it a style show, where probably no less than about 20 or 30 of the different tribal representatives, Miss Kiowa, Miss Choctaw, Miss Comanche, Miss Apache, all these young ladies will be wearing their traditional dress. And then Friday night there will be a banquet with Billy Mills, will be our guest speaker, speaking on leadership for the American Indian youth. You may have seen his movie, Running Brave, That's Robbie Benson played the part of Billy Mills. And so this is the Olympic star Billy will be there, be our special guest Friday. And then Saturday morning, he'll be speaking to the youth of Dallas, in a youth conference. And then Saturday night, we'll have our annual powwow out at Kidd Springs.
And the powwow is the dancing festivities?
Right, primarily it'll be dancing, and there may be a couple of presentations by a couple of culture groups we're working on now, like Apache ghost dancers or something like that.
Now we have some more footage that I want to show you, and coming up, what are we going to see coming up here? Okay, we'll just run it, and then we'll talk to you about it. Can we run that footage?
Go ahead, Rhonda.
This type of dance is called the Northern Fancy Shawl Dance, and it originated from up north. And the origin of fancy shawl dancing began when women started making shawls. They decorated them, and they were very proud of their shawls, and so they danced with them to show them off.
Now I see one. Is that a gentleman with feathers?
Mm-hmm.
Are the men part of the ritual or part of the dance?
Yeah, they dance a northern style, and in many contests, girls will dance, strictly by themselves for contests. This is strictly an intertribal social dance where everyone's invited to participate.
Oh.
But it's the same type of music could be used in Northern Shawl, contest.
Right? A big point for the
Took after her mom.
Now, being married to an American Indian, do you get to eat a lot of Indian foods?
Well, there's not a lot. Corn soup and Indian fry bread are two of the most common, and then Indian tacos, and all these will be featured at our powwows, by the way. When you come to these, they're all for sale.
Oh, that sounds good. Is that something you're interested in too, Rhonda? Do you learn the traditional recipes or some of the traditional cooking?
Yes, I do some cooking, but I still have a lot to practice to do.
What are some of the other goals that you have for yourself?
Well, I would like to complete my degree in occupational therapy and hopefully work in an American Indian setting with American Indian patients.
That would be good. Something that I read just a little bit, there was a short article in the Dallas Morning News about how Indians sometimes are able to accept the culture of Dallas and sometimes they're not. They return to the reservation. Do you think that, now I know that you were all, raised or are pretty much urban Indians is what I think the term that you used. But do you find that it's harder for some of the traditional Indians to remain in the city, so to speak? Or do you have some feelings on that?
I don't know, not really. Most of the reservations here in Texas, we have 3. They're pretty much urbanized themselves. They're not really your so-called traditional type reservations, as best to my knowledge. But I really don't see very much of a difference here in our state.
Well, that's good to know that, they're pretty much accepted and that they can orient themselves well. Well, that's all the time that we've got left for today. I want to thank you both for joining me. Very quickly, I want to put up some information on the 1985 Annual Powwow and Princess Contest at Kidd Springs Recreation Center. That will be September the 28th. And also want to remind you about the Traders Village that is coming up. Now, Larry, is there a telephone number that you want to give us?
American Indian Center's number is 262-1349.
Okay, and that's here in the Dallas area.
Right, Grand Prairie. Right.
Thank you both again for joining me. Tomorrow afternoon on weekday, I'm going to be talking with the cast and, some of the cast members and the director of the Plano Community Theater. They're doing a melodrama, so we will get to see the villain and the heroine and the hero. So I know you'll want to join me for that. Tomorrow afternoon at 4:30 for weekday.
And now the time has come, and so my love I must go. And though I lose a friend, in the end you will know. Oh, one day you'll find that I have gone, but tomorrow